Welcome back to Project KALM. My name is James. I'm your host, and today we have a super cool guest on the show, Micaylah. How's your day going so far?
It is going good. How's your day going?
Can't complain. It's almost Friday. And do you like wintertime?
I kind of do actually because I love the snow, but I live in North Carolina now and I grew up in Northeast Tennessee, and we usually get more snow there than we do here, but I'll be moving back eventually, so it's okay.
Okay. Do you do any snow sports?
No, when I was a kid, I liked to ice skate,
Yeah.
but I was never really good at it, but it was just fun.
Cool, cool. Ice skating, I've gone only a few times, and every time I go, the days after, I'm always so bruised up. I think I have such a hard time balancing. It's super hard for me, but I do love snowboarding, so that's
Oh, that sounds cool.
yeah. Well, if you don't mind sharing, would you give the audience a bit of a background on like who you are and like what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, I grew up in Northeast Tennessee. I'm 26, so I'm still kind of like a baby, some people would claim. But I am now a military wife. I started working when I was probably like 14 or 15. And so now is like my first real chance to just like calm down and slow down because I started working really young. Um, so I'm not currently working at the moment. I would like to go back to school. I'm
Mhm.
not sure what for yet, but I would like to go to school. Um, what led me to calm, I would say, my childhood, it was really full of, and I don't say this negatively about my parents or anything, but it was very chaotic and there was a lot of instability. So, that led me to be very close with my great grandparents and my granny. And, over the years, I kind of always had a little bit of anxiety and depression, nothing crazy, but, just like your normal things. I was a cheerleader growing up, so, I didn't really have too much anxiety. But, I lost my grandfather when I was probably like 11, and that was my first real experience with death. And then in 2017, when I was 18 years old, I lost my great grandmother and my grandmother 4 months apart. So that was pretty big shock factor for me about how fragile life is, and just you have to cherish the things that you do still have. And that led me into what I would call personally like just a downward spiral. I started using drugs and other things and alcohol, to kind of just like numb how I was feeling instead of actually dealing with it. And that only made my anxiety and depression worse. I was a really heavy marijuana user, like daily for at least like 10 years. Marrying my husband, I decided to just like nip that in the bud and get rid of it because I knew that, number one, it's illegal. And number two, he's in the military. So I just didn't want there to be any kind of like conflictions there with them questioning him or wondering, and stuff like that. So I just nipped it in the bud. And I really learned how just raw my nervous system was without it. And it was like I couldn't handle anything. And I realized when I stopped using it, how, I hate to say addicted to it, but I was very dependent on it.
Mhm.
And, any stress relief, that's what I went to.
Mhm.
And so finding calm has definitely helped a lot.
That's Yeah, I know exactly what you mean on like using external substances to numb yourself because I too fell into addiction with both alcohol and drugs, and for many many years, like just the pain of reality was just so unbearable for me that I'd rather just be not sober and try to forget everything. But then I feel like when you do things like that, the pain doesn't go away. We're just pushing it back, and it's just
Yep.
slowly growing. And then when we decide to quit all that, it's like the floodgates got opened up, and now
Absolutely.
it's not like a day of hangover you got, but you got years of all these negative emotions build up, and it's just like, what do I deal with this?
Yep.
When you decide to kind of turn things around, what were some of the symptoms because that you were feeling? Just because like anxiety, depression, anything related to mental health affects one person differently than another person. So how did those symptoms show up for you?
Yeah, so I would get like the little nervous jitters and stuff in certain situations, but by not dealing with it, it would only amplify. And so what really led me down a path of like really like a healing journey, I guess, was I grew my relationship with Christ. I started devoting more time to Jesus. And I had a collapsing episode, probably about like 6 to 8 months ago, and it was just like, I mean, like a brick wall. Like it was just dread out of nowhere, and my vision got blurry, my hands started tingling, and like looking back on it, I realized like I was so focused on what I was feeling, I literally stopped breathing like voluntarily. It was so weird. I ended up collapsing off our bed and into our nightstand table head first. So that landed me into the ER just to get checked out. And they claimed it was like a vagus nerve reaction or something. And, I didn't really agree with it just being so quickly labeled as that and just been like, okay, you're free to go. You can go home. You're fine, because I wasn't fine. And I experienced what I would call like adrenaline dumps, because it would just be random. And I would just be sitting there and I would just feel like my stomach drop, my heart would be racing, I would get really hot and like have a hot flash. And it was just miserable and so debilitating, because I was, my mind started wandering, and I was like, I can't be in the middle of the grocery store or driving and have something like this happen. And so I started doing some research, and I was like, well, I think that what it is, because I didn't go back to the doctor. And I mean, I know the doctor has its place and they're really good for like trauma care and car wrecks and different things like that. But mental health is really complex and really individual. So I was like, I know me better than anybody else. And I don't want someone just say, oh, it's just anxiety and brush it off, because that's not going to help my mental health any to be invalidated. And so I started researching supplements and, deficiencies and different things like that. And I started really putting an effort into my health and my day to day, and removing things too. Like instead of scrolling all morning and laying in the bed for 3 hours, I started getting up earlier and actually sitting outside and eating breakfast and getting sun.
Yeah.
Um, Cold water splashes on my face. I no longer drink coffee. I like to make water cocktails. I do, like, I have a 40-ounce cup, and I will do like at least three-fourths of it with filtered water, and then an 11-ounce coconut water, and like a little sprinkle of salt, like Celtic salt. I think that's how you pronounce it. But that's helped me a lot. Changing my diet, incorporating healthy fats and proteins, and no fast food, no processed food, really reading like the nutrition labels on things, because they sneak some stuff in there that's really not good for us. But yeah, I did all of those changes, and I saw a big improvement. But then I would notice, like, minor things that would come up would have
Mhm.
me flustered, not necessarily full on like panic attacks and stuff, but flustered and just I don't want to deal with it type of attitude, which isn't good. But that's when I found KALM, and I saw it on a Facebook ad, and I was like, "This is a scam. This isn't real."
I get that a
It's
lot.
one of those magic things. But no, I mean, it's not a one thing fix it all, but it definitely was the final thing I needed, because I can go to the grocery store, I can drive, I can walk around the neighborhood, I'm good, and I don't have to have anybody with me. Like, so it's been a breath of fresh air, honestly.
That's I feel like when you share your stories, we're like two peas in a pod because definitely me just going back to churches has been one of like the biggest needle movers in my mental health. And also like one of the things I always preach is exactly what you said. The first step to improving mental health, it's not adding meditation, it's not adding the pill, it's not adding the supplement, but it's first removing the things that you're currently doing that's hurting
Yes.
your mental health. And I always go back to this analogy. I go like, hey, if you burn your hands on the stove and you put in some band-aids and some ointments to let it heal, but if you go back every morning to put your hands back on the stove, it's never going to heal. So we need to first take our
Mhm.
hands off the stove. And when you reduce the social media time, when you reduce all this like small, when you think about your day, there's all these like little actions that are probably hurting your mental health. And when you remove those, you magically find time. And with that time, you can now allocate it into the things that help with healing. And just like you said, clean eating and taking calm and things like that. When you were doing your like research on like supplements, were there like any other supplements that you've tried?
Yeah, I actually use Dr. Berg supplements.
Mhm.
I watched a lot of his informational videos and was like, okay, this is lining up pretty good. And considering I took no care into my diet or anything like that prior to now, I'm probably very much so deficient on these. I also did a little bit of research on like specific herbs that can help with things, like cayenne pepper helps with circulation and different things like that. So I sprinkle some of that onto my eggs every morning, and I've noticed nothing but good things. And people don't realize that certain supplements can be not too good for you just because of the form they're in, or the quality of the supplement. So it's really important that you're getting high quality supplements,
Mhm.
because it can just have either no effect at all or a negative effect on you.
Hmm. Yep, 100% spot on. Just like how there's different qualities of beef, there's different qualities
Yep,
of vegetables, there's different qualities of supplements, and like there's the ones I used to shop my supplements for, like what's the cheapest price tag I can get. And then once I learned that, I'm like, oh wait, so if it's super cheap, it's in a form that my body can't absorb, so I'm just peeing it. It
exactly.
looks nice in the nutritional label, but it doesn't
Yep.
really do anything for the body. Yeah.
Yes.
It, what are some of these? So food is definitely a huge thing that it's the three pillars of mental health, or just any or mental and physical health, I always preach is always like you need to have some movement into your life. You don't have to lift an elephant, but go for a walk, lift some weights, do something you love. Second one is you need to clean up your diet. And the last one is sleep. If you have these three things dialed down, you might not be perfect, but you're going to be way ahead of the game than most people. Are there
Absolutely.
are there some things that you've learned along your journey that you can share with other people that other people might not know so that they can maybe incorporate it into their lives?
Yeah, absolutely. Read your Bibles. Scripture helps. So if you feel anxious, if you feel scared, the Bible says many times, be not afraid, and that's not in there for no reason. Grow your relationship with Christ. That might not be everybody's cup of tea, but if you haven't tried it, I really highly suggest you try it. Prayer, even fasting. Like, we talk about changing our diets and what we take in. Sometimes we just need to limit taking in general. And fasting can go from, your diet to fasting from social media, fasting from shopping, fasting from being, super worried about how you look. Take a break from makeup, take a break from doing your routines that you're so worried about how you present yourself to people and wanting to meet other people's standards, because at the end of the day, in my personal opinion, we're not here to be accepted by man. We're here to be accepted and do right by God. So, outside of that, I would probably say, like you said, get moving. Like, you don't have to run a marathon, that you didn't train for, or go to the gym and start bench pressing, but you can do things like you can just do simple things like stretches, meditate on scripture. You can go outside and walk, just sit outside, just walk outside and get some sunshine, look at the squirrels. You know what I mean? Like, they're not worried, until they run across the road, but just relax. Like, do your best to just relax.
I love it. I love it. If you had to do like a quick summary of how your day to day has changed from before calm and after calm, what were some of like the biggest um things that have changed since you've started taking your scoops?
Yeah, so I would say that I was one of the few people that when I first started taking Calm, I got super sleepy. Like I did take naps midday, but I was like, well, that's just my body on a physical level taking that exhale and was like, we can actually rest, so we're going to catch up on rest. So I didn't fight that. I let myself take naps, and that only happened like the second and third day maybe. But the second day, like, I'm not even kidding, the second day was when I felt it, like, I could actually feel it, and I literally laughed out loud because I was sitting there and I was thinking, I was like, "I've not overthought anything, I've not had negative thoughts." It's like I forgot to overthink. And it was just the funniest thing to me because I was like, that feels so good to not have like my mind racing and to not like be worried about this what if or that what if and well, I shouldn't do that because maybe this. No, just do it. And um, so I got Mind Hack, I think like mid November, so right before like Thanksgiving, and then I actually got Zen Body 3 days ago, 4 days ago, and I like to take Mind Hack in the morning, one big scoop, and then like in the afternoon, evening time, like around 3 to 6, I'll take a scoop of Zen Body with my magnesium glycinate, and that's just like been the perfect thing for me. It's perfect.
Nice, nice. I as a person who partake in like marijuana in the past, one of the biggest questions I asked, or not even questions, hate comments. They go like, I get so many hate comments from people going like, "Oh, this guy's just selling weed in a jar, right?"
No,
So,
no.
would you say this is other than like the smell, does it have any similarities with like getting high from marijuana?
Absolutely not. And I'm telling you right now, like you're talking to a girl before coming back to Christ who would literally could smoke an ounce in 3 days. Like heavy, heavy user of marijuana and edibles, dabs, everything. Like you can name it. I probably tried it in that form. And when you first get your calm, by looking at it and smelling it, you're going to be skeptical, but I can promise you, like it does not get you high at all. And I can't wait for my husband to come out of the military because I know that he will definitely benefit from this, but they can't have any products that are hemp related at all.
Mhm.
So I hate to say that, like I can't wait for him to get out of the military, but I want him to experience it too because it has been life changing, and it is. I mean, like there's trace amounts. I looked at the labs on your website, and you're very open and transparent about that. But
Yeah.
it does not get you high. Like it is not enough to do anything to you in that way.
Yeah, I'm the kind of like the opposite. I know like some people really love like marijuana to calm down, but for me, I'm like the smaller group where I actually get panic attacks. So I had to make
Hmm.
sure like THC was not a problem. And I've had over like 500 conversations with farmers, and I've looked at labs for like 10,000 different families of hemp, and it's just impossible to go to the
Yeah.
0.0000%. There is a way to do it, and that's how like some CBD products are created, but then it requires like chemical washes. So those were like the two options I had. Like, do I want to bleach this and get rid of the THC, or do I want to
Right.
keep it natural? And I'm like, I'm just gonna stick with the natural route and just try to keep it as low as naturally possible.
Well, you've done an awesome job because as someone who is now a Christian that doesn't want to be high, and it didn't sit with me well after a while either because the stuff that's on the market now and now on the streets, it's way, 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 way too strong. Like it's just been so altered to where it is such a high THC content and it's so potent that I started not to enjoy it either. And it
Mhm.
was such a weird, I don't even know what you would call it, but it was like I was so used to doing it. It was such a habit where I would do it before I went anywhere, but when I would do it, I would be too high to go do it because I'd be so nervous.
Yeah.
And so it was just, I'm glad that that is in the past. It was not good.
Yeah. When you were doing your studies, what what do you think may be like the cause? Okay, this is a loaded question. I asked this to some of the doctors, but you just seem so well informed. And so I just wanted to throw this question at you. Like, I feel like lately, like year by year, mental health is just like getting worse and worse. And what do you
Yeah.
think? And I know there's probably a lot of pieces of the puzzles that's playing into this, but what do you think might be some of the reasons that's causing this mental health epidemic?
Oh, I would say 100% safe drug usage, like how people think marijuana is safe. I don't think it's technically safe for your body. Your lungs have one, like their one function is to breathe fresh air, and you're not
Yeah.
supposed to smoke, you know? I don't think it's healthy for your brain. The exact same way social media and the internet isn't. It's like the entire society has shifted to now instead of having your like popularity click in school, popularity is on the internet. And so I just don't think that's healthy. I feel like that can create a lot of narcissism, a lot of self entitlement. Or on the other hand, if you're not one of these people who are popular on the internet, you might be dealing with self rejection or rejection, from your peers and things like that. And I feel like they go hand in hand, like if you're doing drugs that are deemed safe, they're not exactly safe. Like you might feel better, but it's just like, in my opinion, going to the medical doctor and being given a prescription. You're not going to get to the root cause. You're going to just mask things and also maybe add side effects that you didn't necessarily expect or intend to get. But I
Mhm.
would say largely it would be social media and the internet and just how technology has just exploded over the last few decades.
I I think my personal answer is social media. So I
Yeah.
am 100% spot on with you. Like I tell people so far, I when people ask me that like, James, what's like a good first step to like improving mental health? And I find out they're doing like 3 to 4 hours of social media per day. I go like, take a 14-day break, and I
Yes,
promise you it's not gonna make all your problems go away, but I promise you at the end of 14 days, there's gonna be something that has improved in your life. And
absolutely.
it's like it's not just like making you feel like because after you scroll for a while, you feel a little dumb, but it's not even just that. It's like it's to your sleep quality at night and your
Yes.
because your dopamine receptors are just so constantly fired up, the sensitivity goes down, and just life just feels duller. And
Yeah.
like the smell of the trees or seeing like a cute dog, these things should excite you. But then like just
Yeah.
because the scroll gives you more pleasure, it's like life is just duller. I'm like, just a 14-day break and just tell me, come back to me and we'll talk then, right?
Absolutely. And it can also fuel your anxiety and your fear if you have any, because nobody is always posting good things, scary things, fearful things, worrisome things. That's what makes headlines and gets clicks. And so I feel like it's not mentally healthy. And that's seems to me like common sense, but it might not be. But, just consistently ingesting negativity and you expect your to feel positive and you expect to think positively, like that just doesn't even make sense to me.
Doesn't. It doesn't. And negativity sells. Positive.
Mhm.
I try to make like videos. It's probably just because I suck at social media too, but I try to make like encouraging, positive videos, and those don't really get views. And if I just do like a controversial topic, like those will get more views. So like negativity
Mhm.
sells.
It really does. And it's a shame because we should want to, you know, dive into the positivity and, live on that side of the fence and not, ooh, what can scare me today? you know?
Exactly, exactly. And there's just so much chaos right now within in the whole world. It's not even just within the US. It's just so much chaos and like back in the days, not saying like everything back in like 70s was better, but like back in the days like you wouldn't have all these negative information being fed at you and you would just have to
Yeah.
focus on what's at hand, like what's happening
Yeah.
with my family and my friends. But yeah, it's when you took your break, what were some of like the symptoms that you noticed improved when you took your break from social media?
I did not have as much fear of going out into the public and just being around people, you know. Like I said, social media can make you feel like everyone is out to get you or an enemy or, oh, this could happen to you because it happened to them. But that's not true. You know, there's a lot of good in the world and there's a lot of good people in the world. They're just not put out there on a pedestal for everyone to see. I would say that my mind wasn't as racy. I didn't have like, you know, thought after thought after thought after thought because of all the information I had taken in. Um, it was just it was just like calming for my body. Like it was like I could breathe and I wasn't just like looking down at my hand 24/7 or, you know, consistently clicking on this video or that video or exiting off that one. And just my decision making got better too because it wasn't like, you know, just X off that tab, click that video. Now I don't want to watch that video. Now I'll do this video. You know, it was just I'm present, I'm in the moment, I'm outside, I'm inside cleaning, I'm with my dog, you know, just a lot calmer and more content with what is at hand, you know?
Yeah, I love it. When one of the questions I get asked when I do tell people for to take the social media break, they go like, James, what do I do with the extra time? Right? So if someone asks you this question after you told them, hey, maybe you should take a break from social media, and they go like, what should I do with the extra time? What would you tell them?
Be bored. Enjoy boredom for a moment because what we think is boredom is actually healthy and calm, you know? I think society now is so used to just whipping the phone out and just scrolling here, scrolling there, and just filling up their time. But what they don't realize is they're wasting time. You know, like you can do anything. You can pick up a new hobby, go to a dance class. You know, I don't go to dance classes. I like to bake and cook and stuff, but you can do anything. Like join a workout group so you're not by yourself. Join Zumba, you know, something. I like baking, and that takes some time, especially if you're doing it from like scratch or if you're learning a new recipe. All those things take time. Like you don't get to rush the cooking process, so you have to stand there and just really be present, or it's not going to wind up good for you, you know. So that's what I like to do. I like to practice new recipes or bake something new, just anything in the kitchen. I love to be in the kitchen.
Nice. What's the most coolest recipe you recently learned
I would say that I tried to make my own bread not too
from
long
scratch?
ago.
Like with
Yeah,
the
from scratch.
flour?
Yeah, and like yeast and stuff like that. I liked it and it was good, but I think I have like an intolerance to active yeast. So I ended up with a migraine. But I'm actually learning now how to make it without yeast and try that. Sourdough is another good one. I really want to learn how to like make the little like leaf designs and cut into it so that when it bakes, it'll have like a pretty top cover. But I'm not quite there yet, but I'm working on it.
Did you that's cool. Did you ever like hear that the flour in Europe is different than like flour in America? So like
Yeah.
it's like some of the
Yeah.
flour in America like can cause like stomach issues and things like that. But
Mhm.
when they go to Europe and they like eat their pizza and their bread, like people don't notice that.
Yeah, and it's so crazy to me because I'm like, we should have access and at least transparency to what ingredients are in our food. And it's pretty wild to me that, you know, what would be considered one of the most successful countries has those issues. And I'm like, we don't need gluten in everything. We don't need enriched flour, you know. We just need natural organic items. And I don't understand why that's so controversial other than, you know, greed and they want to make more money. So teach their own, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely money has played a nasty part in a lot of things that happen within not just America, all over the world.
Yeah.
When you if someone watching this might go like, hey, I really want to clean up my diet, but I don't know where to start. What are the if I look at a ingredients list, what should I try to avoid? How would you
Mhm.
answer that?
Anything that says bioengineered products, anything that is GMO, anything that is highly processed. The way I look at like ingredient labels is if it looks like a chemical formula, you probably shouldn't be eating it. You know, your food should be very limited. Like I stick to whole foods. Like an apple is just an apple. You know, broccoli is just broccoli. But when you
Mhm.
start getting into like your canned items and your flours and different things like that, you know, they're tricky because it might say no sugar added, but there'll be a chemical in there that is pure sugar, but it's not labeled as sugar. So it's really important that like if what you're cooking with or what you're ingesting and eating has like five, six, seven, eight chemicals, like that's a chemical formula. That's not food, you know? So it's been kind of fun because I get to be like a little chemist for my family, and I'm like, we're not eating that because it's got 27 different things and I can't pronounce anything. So no.
Yeah, it's like, and the food is like so good when it's simple too, like steak,
Yeah,
like salt, pepper, and even without garlic part, but just with salt and pepper, the steak itself is so good. But when it
absolutely.
comes to like a jerky and there's like 40 ingredients in there, it's like something's kind of suspicious here.
Yes, absolutely. Like eggs have been my best friend, steak. Like I've just incorporated a lot more proteins and grass-fed meats. Um, what else? Grass-fed butter. Like don't use vegetable oil, don't use like, you know, seed oils and stuff like that. It's just funny to me to see like a box of Cheerios and it's labeled heart healthy. I'm like, is it though?
If the food industry watches this, they're gonna put a target on us.
Oh yeah, I'm their worst enemy. They don't want me to start talking about it.
No, but it's we need people like you because like the thing is like it's the American population has been left in the unknown, and look at what has caught. Look at the results of it. It's like
Yeah,
we have over half of our half of the population is like obese, and there's a good amount. We have the highest number of diabetic patients out of
yeah,
anywhere. A lot of
it's
heart
crazy.
problems, and just from that creates a whole slew of different health conditions and maybe they want to do that so that insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies can get paid, but that's a rabbit hole that I don't want to enter.
Yeah, I've been down that one, and
Uh,
it's all connected, in
it's,
my opinion.
I believe so. I believe so. Micaylah, I always like to you shared some really great information, and these are the exact same tips I use to my day to day, and the exact same things that I've used to turn my life around. So I love it. And I do like to wrap up these podcasts with like three curveball questions just to throw you off guard. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's get at it.
Awesome. If you if you see yourself, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? What do you see yourself doing?
Oh, wow, 10 years from now. So I'll be 36 10 years from now. I want to be a mom. We do not have children yet, and I want to be a mom. So I'm trying to learn everything I can and to just like not really fix because I'm not broken. I just need to be more regulated and just more baseline nutrition wise. So I would like to learn all that information before then so that I can teach them and it can have a generational effect and my kids aren't, you know, taken up by all this processed food garbage. I would love to be back home in my hometown after his military contract 10 years from now. That'd be good. I would like to have completed school. That would be also nice so I can help people. I'd like to go to like a natural medicine college to
Mhm.
where I can learn how to help people with like herbs and different things like that and you know help them understand their diets better. Um, I don't know. I just feel like that would be the best thing I could do is just be of service to other people. I would love to 10 years from now to be able to just be a servant to anybody that I can, you know.
That's a beautiful answer. And I think you've already started on this journey. You have so much knowledge that can help so many people, and just sharing it here, you're already helping everyone who watches this because I'm sure there's
Yes,
so
I
many
hope
things
so.
to learn. Um, now that we talked about the future, I want to go back into the past. If you were able to talk to younger Micaylah, who's just about to enter her battle with mental health, what is one piece of advice you will give to her?
Oh gosh, I would give her a hug and I would tell her to give yourself the grace that you give everybody else around you because you deserve it just as much as they do. And it's not that serious. You know, it's really not. Like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're not even going to remember the specifics and the details. So just let it go. Let it go. Let it roll off your back because I was one of those kids that really took everything to heart. And, you know, everything was super serious and it was always a big deal, but it really isn't because here I am, you know, 10 years later and I can't even remember specific details of what happened then or, you know, so I'll just say forgive yourself and give yourself grace just like you did everybody else.
Hmm, beautiful. Lastly, I know you said that you mentioned to me that you're starting a podcast.
Yes, I am.
So, if someone wants to watch your podcast, listen to your podcast, where can they find you? And if you also send me the link, I'm going to include it into the description.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So right now I'm just running social media accounts. I've been recording for the podcast and doing some editing, so I don't have any full podcast videos up yet. But as you can see, I've got the setup going on. So, but it is called Millstone Watch, and it is basically a community watch group. Um, you can find it on YouTube and you can also find it on Facebook. I don't have Instagram, TikTok, or X or any of that. Maybe if I was like selling products, I might expand it out, but we don't have like merch or anything like that. I'm not trying to make money. It's just pretty much informational videos, more specifically on how to keep your children safe in the community and online because there are people out there with bad intentions and you know noticing the growth of the population who are out to hurt children, let's just put it that way. I just felt like very passionate about exposing certain tactics and exposing individuals, to be honest with you. If I'm going to be completely honest, I feel like light should be taken into darkness. You know, we should never turn a blind eye to things that are dark. um, but yeah, just some informational videos, some tips and tricks for parents on how to keep their kids safe online through settings, through games, you know, because we live in a very technological world. So saying you can't be on the internet at all is pretty far reach because a lot of their school can be online. So just the more you know, the more knowledge you have, the better prepared you can be, you know, in certain situations that you don't want to find your kid in.
That's super cool. It's especially like with just I feel like technology has advanced so much that like even both the government or the companies don't know where it's going, how to put the guardrails every time they think they do like a guardrail, like no internet at all. It's just becomes unviable. It's 6 months later because it's just everything is just kind of booming. So that's a really cool thing to talk about. And yeah, if you guys want to watch Michaela's podcast or contact her, I'm going to leave her information down in the description. But Michaela, I really appreciate you for taking the time to hop on the call. You were amazing.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a great opportunity. Thank you.